Fin Addicts Jimmy Kearns and Brian Byrne on the Fin Addicts Network.
Happy Father's Day, Dolphins. It's Kenyan Drake here, former running back. Sorry I couldn't get this message out yesterday. I was a little busy, but I still wanted to get this special request out to y'all. I know I'm a Cardinal now, but we'll always have the Miami Miracle. But here's my favorite joke for Brian in honor of all dads out there. What's the opposite of irony? Wrinkly.
What is going on? Welcome into the Fin Addicts Network. This is the Fin Addicts Podcast, and as always, I am your host, Jimmy Kearns. Thank you for joining us today. And as always, please, if you haven't already, head over to YouTube, Fin Addicts Network, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Twitter, Fin_Addicts. You can check the podcast out on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts. It's on Anchor. There's a ton of places you can go and check it out. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe, follow, check it out. But before we hop into anything here and I introduce Brian and our guest, we do want to send out our condolences to the family of Jim Kick and the Miami Dolphins family. He passed away on June 21st. You know, I was looking up something, guys. I wanted to just add this in real quick. He played in 3 different football leagues. This was really cool. He played in the AFL 68-69, NFL 70-77, but in between there in 75, he played in the World Football League. So just thought that was something cool to pass on. But, again, our condolences to the family and the Miami Dolphins family. So, yeah, let's hop into it. As always, I'm joined by my man, Brian Byrne. Brian, what's going on today, man?
Doing good, Jimmy. Good to be back on the Fin Addicts podcast. Really excited. So today we found out the winner. I don't know if you guys, if everybody was following along on Twitter, we had the first ever Father's Day Dad Joke face-off, and it came down to me and Milton, and my joke ended up winning, all for charity. So now the Albert Wilson Foundation will be getting a $100 donation from the Fin Addicts Network. So that's really cool.
So can I ask a question real quick? I saw a lot of fans on Twitter saying the fix was in, that you set it up and you won the dad. Like I saw it. I was a little suspect of it. Was any shenanigans, or it was a fair thing?
We might have had some Russian polling going on. You know, we'll have an investigation. But either way, charity is gonna be the big winner here. So we also have. I got to let you guys know about the fantasy football league we have going. We're gonna put pressure to our guest because he hasn't joined yet. But the Fin Addicts Network has a Fin Addicts Network fantasy football league. We're gonna have as many 12-person leagues as needed. Currently, we're filling league number 4. Each league has a $50 entry fee. You can join as many leagues as you want. The payout is $400 for first place, $150 for second, $50 for third. But the really cool thing of the grand champion of all the leagues combined is going to get 2 tickets to the MetLife Takeover in New York, Dolphins versus Jets game. We're also going to give away a pretty cool Fin Addicts trophy. So definitely get involved in there. And yeah, now let's introduce to the man who hasn't joined the Fantasy Football League yet, despite multiple requests. We have a very special guest from Seriously Sports. Sevach is joining us today. Sevach, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. For those of y'all that don't know, I too have a podcast, as he just mentioned, Seriously Sports, available. Most places podcasts are available, but you can also find me on YouTube and Twitter at Seriously Sevach. I guess we should probably spell that Sevach. Just in case. And I guess in terms of how I became a Miami fan, like many Dolphins fans out there, I inherited my love for the Fins from my father. He and most of my family is actually from Tampa, and he's the lone black sheep, or was, until I came along. I was actually born on his birthday, and then that just kind of became our thing, you know?
So everyone else is Bucks fans?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, now you got Brady.
Except
Oh man,
there's a
back to-
couple Cowboys fans too.
Oh, always is, of course. Of course. You can never shake them, man. Bro, I'm digging the headband. I usually rock a headband during the show. Mine aren't that sharp, though. I like that one.
No, I appreciate it. It's
Mine's
like
usually-
Oh, go ahead.
Mine's like a cut-off T-shirt sleeve usually or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Sevach, how do you see this season unfolding? You're going to be going up against your family has Brady. They have Gronk back. Are we going to be competing with them? Are we going to make the playoffs? What's your outlook for this?
You know, the hopeful Fin fan in me says that, yes, we can make the playoffs. We may even do a deep push, but the realist in me tells me we're probably going to finish around 8-8-ish.
Well, I got to get more realist in my life. I love the realist football fan, and that's how I am too. The unbiased, call it how you see it. Everyone we've had on's been that way, but apparently everyone in my real life isn't. And the correlation has to be that they're Bills fans is what it is. Everyone I deal with, they're forever hopeful and forever like just head in the clouds. It's going to happen.
Exactly.
My head is in the clouds. We're going 10-6. We're getting one of those wild card spots. I just put, I think, $60 on it today that we will make the playoffs.
Okay.
Hey, that's a good play. I like that.
Yeah.
So again, as always, we're getting better at these as we go. That's a pretty good segue right there. That's what the pros call it. We got the poll up for today, and the poll has to do with the entire season, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Brian?
Absolutely. So our poll for today will, it was in the news last week. I can't say this guy's name, Dr. Fauci said that it's going to be really hard to do an NFL season unless they keep everyone in a bubble. So we threw up the poll. Will the NFL season happen? The options are yes, it will happen, but with no fans. Yes, it will happen, and there will also be fans. And no, it will not happen.
Savak, I'm sorry,
We'll
Brian.
jump into that later. Let's get back to that later when we read the polls. We have something really special right now. We have a guest appearance from my man Kenyan Drake wanted to weigh in with the dad joke of the day. I know he's a Cardinal now, but he is always a Dolphin in our heart for a certain day in 2018. So here we go. Let's listen to Kenyan Drake's dad joke of the day.
Yesterday, I was a little busy, but I still wanted to get this special request out to y'all. I know I'm a Cardinal now, but we'll always have the Miami Miracle. But here's my favorite joke for Brian and out of all dads out there. What's the opposite of irony? Wrinkly.
And that was Kenyan Drake weighing in with the dad joke of the day. What do you guys think? Did he nail it?
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, not all of them fit under what I would consider a dad joke. That one is definitely a corny dad joke. And
100%.
and very wholesome. I like wholesome and corny are the top two for me when it comes to jokes.
I'll have to get with the producers and figure out. I don't even know if Kenyan Drake is a dad. I think by that joke he probably is, but we'll get back to the stats on that later on.
But he is an honorary dad because of that dad joke.
For sure.
He's not a dad.
That's Hall of Fame dad joke worthy already for possibly
a
not being a dad. And we're dropping exclusive dad jokes of the day on the podcast here now, and a big poll too. Kenyan Drake, come on. Where else are you getting that? Someone tell me where else you're getting that.
Not me.
All right, boys. So you want to hop into our first topic here? What? Everyone good to go?
Absolutely.
All right, let's rock it. So I don't want to make it seem like that we're picking on this guy. This is like our third podcast and our second time talking about him. But I swear he's doing some stuff just to get clicks and to be talked about because it's getting a little egregious. Our boy,
and he's
Chris
killing
Sims,
it. He's doing a great job of it. Everybody's talking about it.
He is.
Yeah.
That's obviously his goal.
Listen, bad publicity or bad clicks, whatever, bad takes are.
There is no such thing as bad publicity.
Absolutely. That's where I was trying to get, but I was stuttering and stammering. So thank you, Savak, very much for bailing me out on that one. So Chris Sims has been releasing just a couple, right? A day, Brian, like a couple quarterbacks a day of the top 40.
Yep.
All right. So he put out a couple more quarterbacks here, and I'll let you guys hop in first. Brian, let us know what you think, but I'll just run down quick what we have so far. We went over 30 through 10 or 30 through 40, excuse me. Right here, though, we got Breeze at 16, Tom Brady at 15, Big Ben 14, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, Tannehill, Cam Newton at 10, Matt Stafford at 9, Dak at 8, Matt Ryan at 7, and Wentz at 6. Brian, you're already shaking your head over there. Why don't you lead us off here? And I know you got some things to say about this.
Oh, it's driving me crazy. I literally don't want to talk about him because it's obvious that he's doing this for clicks. And, eventually the Piper will come due. You can't be a commentator for too long and just be looking for clicks. But I can't believe this list. He has Drew Brees and Tom Brady behind Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger hasn't played in over a year. He's coming off major elbow surgery. Another fun fact about Ben Roethlisberger, his past 5 seasons when he was healthy, he was rated behind both Tom Brady and Drew Brees every single season. And that's egregious to have. The two GOATs, Brees and Brady, they both made the top 10 quarterbacks. Brees was just off the list. Tom Brady, top 10 quarterback that's ever played the game. Everybody was mad that Brees didn't make that list. But to have them at 16 and 15 behind Roethlisberger and Cousins, Tannehill, come on. But the thing that really gets me, we have Cam Newton at 10. I don't know if Chris Sims knows this, but every NFL general manager disagrees with him because he's not on a roster, and there hasn't been a lot of heat coming his way. So to have Cam Newton at 10, maybe Chris Sims is stuck in 2015 because that's the last time that Cam Newton has been a top 10 quarterback as far as ratings go. Even as wins go, I think he's had 1 winning season since 2015. He's never topped a passer rating of 93. Not being on a roster, the last couple of years he's played, coming off an injury, he doesn't belong in the top 20. It's just egregious, and he's just obviously just doing it for clicks. But I'd be amiss if we didn't jump on it. What are your thoughts on this, Sevach?
I do. I find it bizarre, and I agree. It's got to be for clicks because how else could you justify putting Cam Newton at 10? He's just after not playing last year, and he's just been on the downslope ever since that MVP campaign of his. This is ridiculous.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. I pulled some stats up, and the MVP campaign was 2015. He had 35 touchdowns, which obviously is great. Only 10 interceptions. He had a great year. He deserved MVP that year. He almost single-handedly won them the Super Bowl. Maybe if he goes after a fumble, they actually win a Super Bowl. But other than that, he hasn't thrown for over 25 touchdowns in a season. He's had 19 touchdowns in a season, 18, 19, and always a lot of interceptions and turnovers. I was never a big fan of him, and I get in a lot of social media debates. I can't stand it. He's very polarizing. But my whole thing is, he has a bad attitude, I feel like. And people always say, well, like, oh, no one's ever – his teammates, love him and he does this for charity. He's been great to Charlotte. He's done so much for that community. The dude volunteers, donates, kid camps. That he seems like an awesome human being outside of football. But the not going for the fumble kind of, I think that is more him when it comes to the football field, right? I don't know. I just feel like maybe he's not a great guy. It's always a lot of it wasn't my fault kind of thing. Yeah. I get the feeling from.
Well, he should have been knocked back a few spots just for not diving on that fumble alone.
And not to mention he's coming off shoulder surgery. He's coming off foot surgery.
Yeah.
Like, gun to your head. Like, how quickly would you grab Kyler Murray this season before you grab Cam Newton? How quickly would you grab Kyler Murray this season before you grab Ryan Tannehill this season? Like, Kyler Murray, he's the guy I want to build a franchise around. But to have him behind Cam Newton?
That's crazy.
If this list was like best quarterback up to this point, then like maybe but that's not what it is, like this is for this upcoming season. Obviously Cam's had a better career than Murray because of him being in the league longer than Murray.
Exactly.
By about 9 years so far. So it's weird all around. Is there anybody else you guys wanted to touch on? I like Cousins. I know a lot of people give him some flack. He doesn't win Monday nighters. It seems like he only wins at 1 p.m. But I like Cousins as a real life quarterback. Probably not a fantasy guy or something, but Brady and Breeze being that far down, it's just where's your head at for that? I don't get it.
On that though. I'm with you. I actually kind of like Cousins, and this is actually both from just a regular perspective and a fantasy perspective, because he's been consistent. Now he might not show up in those big games, but year in, year out, he's always padding stats. He throws for over 3,000 yards every single season.
Yep.
4,000 every season.
4,000. Yeah.
Excuse me. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know. The list is weird. I love Matt Stafford too, and I've always been a big Matt Stafford fan. He's done a lot with very little, but to have him that high, I mean, Ryan just seems like a stat patter at this point of his career, and Carson Wentz is never on the field.
Thank you.
It's a weird list overall. So who's left? Lamar. I don't want to do this on the fly because we'll miss somebody. But Lamar Jackson, Mahomes, Russell Wilson. So who knows?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers.
Where do you think Aaron Rodgers lands on that list?
Probably 5 or 4.
He's got to be 5 or 4. But with this, he could be number 1. This guy could throw him out here number 1.
He does. So in a different list, he had top 10 quarterbacks of all time. He had Aaron Rodgers ahead of Drew Brees and Tom Brady, I believe, and Joe Montana as number 1, and had those guys below him. But let's to reel this all in. Let's put this back in perspective.
Please.
He ranked the left arm of God, Tua, at 40. And Taysom Hill at 38. Taysom Hill hasn't played started as a quarterback since 2016 for Brigham Young University. So that's what we're dealing with here, folks.
He's thrown 6 passes in the NFL so far? Something like that?
Something like that. It was 6, 7, or 8, something like that. And Brian didn't bring up his favorite point, so I'll bring it up. He's now listed as a tight end in fantasy also. So he's got a tight end in his top 40.
But he's the next Steve Young, according to a lot of these people out there.
Yeah. He's not as accurate, not as guy. Yeah, he's a great quarterback he's a great football player in the way that they use him, for sure.
Yes.
And I don't know why they didn't hang on to Bridgewater. That's a whole nother thing for another day.
I agree. I thought that was bizarre. But I do want to point out one thing with this list, because while I do agree with the premise, I don't think that Taysom should be, or Justin Herbert for that matter, should be listed ahead of Tua. I don't think rookies in general should be on the list until they've at least seen the field.
Yeah. I understand why he's doing it, but I definitely agree with you. I get it. I mean, because if he's listing 40, then he's going to put some backups in there ahead of he's projecting. But yeah, I agree. We haven't seen any of these guys play. And how do you put Herbert over Tua when you haven't seen either one of them play a down of football in the NFL?
Right.
I mean,
when the NFL GMs didn't put Herbert ahead of Tua.
Why didn't they get drafted in opposite order a week before he puts the list out? I don't get it.
Let's get rid of Chris Sims and just forget about his list and just go back to the poll. What do you guys think?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so here we are with the poll results. Will the NFL season happen? The overwhelming majority is 57% believe it will happen, but without fans. 24% believe it will happen with fans, and only 18% believe it will not happen at all.
Good. I like the optimism.
Me too.
I'm a without fans kind of guy, or limited fans. I mean, our very own Miami Dolphins already have a plan in place, so I'm assuming other teams have 15,000 they might end up doing, and you kind of sit apart, people enter at separate times.
Yeah.
So I'm a little scared about this because my nephew is a season ticket holder for the Patriots. He has offered me the ticket for week 1. So I have a ticket for week 1 against the Patriots, and it's probably going to be, we'll just throw it in the fire because it'll probably be meaningless. But hopefully somehow maybe we get a miracle cure in September and we can all go back to football.
Yeah.
Oh, I would like to believe that we could have a season this year, and I'm moving forward as though we do. but some things are just making that a little harder to believe. Like now we've got multiple Cowboys that have been diagnosed with COVID-19. So now, I mean, how long is it until other players from other teams are being diagnosed? And once that starts happening, I think it's a domino effect.
Yeah. And what happens during the season when a guy gets it and he's got to be shut down for 2 weeks, then you're putting in who, God knows who, if 12 guys get it and 9 of them are starters, and what do you do? So
exactly,
it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm staying optimistic though, because I need it. I need the distraction. I need football.
Me too. And look,
I'm very curious to see if they do play, if they'll up the roster. So I think we went from 53 to 55 this year. We added like two players to the practice squad as well. But as it gets closer and we see what happens with the NBA, Major League Baseball, maybe they add 10 players to the active roster. But I mean, one guy gets it, and like what if an O lineman gets it? Then what? The whole line has to sit for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
We might need more roster players.
Yeah, there's a thing. NFL.com did an article a week ago that they're considering at least expanding practice squads. They're considering expanding active roster. They're going to have to. They don't have much of a choice, even if it's 4, 5, 6 guys. That they really have to.
Exactly, just to have depth.
Yeah. Yep. If they're going to do stuff like this, if they're going to play, they got to have fail-safe. They got to have everything set up. They got to have every what-if scenario covered just to make it reasonable and to pitch the idea alone. So we'll get a good indication. I mean, baseball's coming back supposedly, and the NBA coming back supposedly. So we'll see. We'll get a good kind of sense of things.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to press forward here, huh? You guys
Let's
ready?
talk about some Miami Dolphins football.
Yeah, how about
what
that?
We're all here to do, right?
That's what we're here for. And how about this? We finally land our best quarterback since Dan Marino. The man is in South Beach, the flying Hawaiian, Superfly Tua Tagovailoa. He is in South Beach. He's landed, baby. He's here. It's a beautiful day. He's down here. He's doing a lot of virtual work. He's working out on his own. He's been rehabbing like crazy. Well, I think I read, because I didn't know this, but I read because he was coming in, quote unquote, injured, he gets to do some extra stuff in certain facilities to rehab. Correct, Brian?
Yeah, I believe all new players and players rehabbing injuries get to come to the team facilities before they actually open. They still can't interact with coaches or run drills or anything like that, but they can go to the facility to rehab and get used to everything. So yeah, there's been I forget which reporter said it, but they say that he's constantly at the facility working out, and his face does not leave the iPad, just constantly studying that playbook. So he is in it to win it.
In it to win it. Right?
In it to win it.
Very good. Very good.
I didn't make that up, but so we want to touch on him for a little bit. This dude, not only a great football player, you can just tell this dude is just a great dude on and off the field. I loved the draft situation with the whole family there. He seems super family oriented from what he said, and how his family speaks about him. No one has a bad word to say about the guy. I got down right here something we wanted to touch on: $300,000 scholarship fund for kids coming from his high school going into college, right?
Yeah.
Already trying to make an impact. The dude just cashed his first check, and he's already just giving it away to giving it back. That's the kind of guy you want leading a team, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of these guys do this now. That that's not anything new. They're great in their communities, but for already him be on this track and start acting this way, it's a great sign of just who he is as a person.
Right. Just to hit the ground running like that and immediately showing that generosity, shows that he cares about the communities that he comes from.
For sure.
$300,000 might not seem like a lot coming from a millionaire, but $75K, which will be about what each of those scholarships breaks up into, that can pay for an entire degree program for somebody.
Absolutely. And yeah, but I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if you make $1 billion, you're giving away 300K. Like, you're changing someone else's life. I don't care how much you're making. If you're changing someone else's life and it's barely changing yours, like that, then what's wrong there? Nothing's wrong at all. Yeah.
Exactly.
And as he said, this is just the start. I mean, he did this scholarship fund first, probably, I think, 2 days after he signed his contract. He was first wanted to give back to, where he came from in Hawaii, but this is coming in Miami as soon as he can actually start leaving the house and getting involved more in Miami. The guy is he's just, like, you've never heard anybody that's worked with Tua not say words like leader, champion, just amazing human being. And it's already showing here in Miami. Can't wait for more.
Absolutely. I mean, if Saban's going to trust him in the biggest game of his life up to this point, when he hasn't even taken a snap, like that's just saying something about who he is as a man and as a football player, as a human being, I should say, rather. Another thing I like about him, the dude is not down with pineapple on pizza, and I am not down with pineapple on pizza. So I think Sevach is on this boat with me, and he'll go down with the ship. Despite being Hawaiian, he's not with it. He's not with the pineapple on a pizza. What, Sevach, I see you shaking your head, so I think, or emphatically going back and forth with the head, not shaking up and down. So I'm guessing you're against it. What are you against pineapple on pizza? And what's your go-to pie? What do you like for pizza?
I like pineapple and I love pizza. I don't think the two need to be together. Doesn't work for me. And personally, my own personal pizza, now it's going to come off a little strange, but I replace my tomato sauce with barbecue sauce, and I get and onions. And, if I go 3 toppings, bacon.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
that's a whole barbecue cookout on a pie.
Indeed.
I might have to try that.
It's food for the soul.
Man.
I don't know if Savach's opinion now on the pipineapple thing carries any weight. He doesn't even like marinara sauce on his pizza. I don't blame you. It's so Sevach. Let's preface this. Sevach lives in Jacksonville, Florida. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've lived in Florida, and they do not know how to make marinara sauce. They do not know how to make pizza. So when I was there, too, I would go to Pizzeria Uno. I'd get the barbecue chicken pizza because I didn't want to be insulted by their version of marinara. So I think that location has a lot to do with Sevach's weighing in here.
I'll give you that.
But I think we do have to preface this. So MiamiDolphins.com ran this piece. They had a little clip to get to know Tua better. If you haven't seen it, run over to MiamiDolphins.com. It's a few minutes, really funny clip on getting to know Tua. One of the questions he was asked is, does pineapple belong on pizza? Being from Hawaii, I think he shocked everybody when he said no. I am. So pineapple alone. Pineapple alone, no thank you on pizza. But you give me the Hawaiian, the ham and pineapple on pizza, I will eat that all day. Not my favorite, but I'll definitely eat that. I think my favorite pie is just straight, cheese, mushroom, and sausage. Marinara sauce, Sevach. Marinara sauce.
Yeah. So I like Sevach's angle because I'm the same way. I like pineapple and I like pizza. Doesn't mean I got to like them together. I like sexual relations also and cured meats. I don't combine them. You know what I mean? So
Ray Costanza.
Yes, I just watched that episode yesterday is why that made me think of that. I'm glad you got that. I'm not with it. Pineapple is probably one of my favorite fruits actually. But I will definitely not put it on pizza. Absolutely. I hope Brian doesn't give me crap for this. I like a white pizza. If I had to go favorite, I go a white garlic pizza with broccoli and sausage, and I like artichokes on it too. If that's
you
like
live in New York, Jimmy. What
but
do you
no,
do?
I love regular.
That's right, Brian. That's.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't like marinara sauce, though.
I never said I don't like marinara sauce. I just said I have a preference for barbecue.
Brian, when you were talking about being down there, you made me think of the end of Goodfellas when Ray Liotta's in Witness Protection, and he's like, I asked for spaghetti and sauce, and I get noodles and ketchup or whatever instead of. And he's in Florida too. I think he was relocated in Florida.
Yeah,
in
he
the
was.
Movie.
There's a really funny thing on Barstool Sports. They have one of their biggest things is they do like the 1 bite pizza challenge, and I forget his name. The president does it, and he's been held up in Florida for the past few months during COVID, and he's going to all these pizza places that people in Florida that people are just raving about. He takes a bite, like throws it across the street. He's yelling at people all over. He still hasn't found a good pie in Florida. It's quite funny. But beyond the pineapple on pizza thing, I think Tua's next take, which Jimmy's about to share with us, I think that's crazier than the no pineapple on pizza. I think this is the hottest take yet.
I agree with you. I think I wanted to say the word unsettling, but that sounds rude because I dig it. I'm like on board with him. It was surprising. I'm sorry. Surprising is a way better term. And the first one that came up, it's definitely not unsettling, but that's where I was surprising. His celebrity crush, Shania Twain.
That was interesting.
And that
I think she's 50. You guys talk about it. I'll come back with her age. I believe she's 51 years old.
Age ain't nothing but a number, man.
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, the older the berry, the sweeter the juice, I think is what the
is 54 years old.
She's
Tua's 22.
Hey, whatever.
He likes cougars. What's wrong with that?
But you also missed something there, Jimmy. The first question that was asked before the celebrity crush was, who is your guilty pleasure music you like to listen to?
Yes.
And his first answer was Shania Twain. Then they asked him his celebrity crush. I'm shocked by both answers that they both were Shania Twain.
I could see it at least being the music, because the only song I know is that you're still the one song, and it's catchy or whatever. Is that don't impress me much? That's not her, is it? That's some other country girl. No. I was gonna work that in as a joke, saying that his crush impressed me much.
That would be the first and last time Jimmy Kearns sings on the Fin Addicts Network. Here we go.
Come on, man. Savach's in that.
It wasn't that bad.
Thank you. All right, I'm gonna take the word of a professional over Brian's word. So thank you, Sevach.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And the audio in here isn't great. The whatever that's called. The acoustics. They aren't great in here. So that's my excuse. I'm sticking to it. So, all right. So he likes her music and he's into her a little bit. He took it shot too. He said, "Hey, Shania, slide in the DMs." He said, "If you see this, hit me in the DMs." I heard it goes down in there. What, Sevach? I can see you got something to say.
I just wanted to toss in that you are absolutely right. That song was in fact Shania Twain.
Oh, all right. So now I'm impressing me much. Thank you. I like.
Hey, we managed to work back around to it.
I brought it full circle. So I like two of her songs. I'm fine with it. I could see that. She is a very attractive woman. We haven't even mentioned that yet. She's a very beautiful woman. She's got a great voice. From everything I can tell, she's a great person. Sevach, well, I'm gonna put you on the spot here though. Who is your celebrity crush? You get one shot.
That one was a tough one. I only get one shot, but can I give you the two that it's between?
For sure.
It would be either Marissa Tomei or Reese Witherspoon.
Another Seinfeld episode I recently watched. The Marissa Tomei.
Sevach, how old are you? We gotta reference this. We gotta frame this to know what era are you coming from. What's your age, Sevach?
I am 28.
Okay, so that's you're with there with Tua. You like
the
Cougars.
And again, age means nothing, because Brian's gonna come in and be like Betty White if we're going by what. So you can't really go off of that.
That's true.
I can get down with Marissa Tomei. She hasn't aged a bit. She's a beautiful woman too.
Fine wine, my friend. Fine wine.
Absolutely. Brian, how about you, man? Who's your celebrity crush?
So before I give you my celebrity crush, I do have to say, so Shania did not slide into his DMs. She made it public. She said she responded to Tua by saying, "Guilty pleasure? You should be proud of your good taste." And then Tua responded with, "You are still the one."
Oh,
so I think we have a budding romance down in Miami.
Our quarterback's got game.
He does have. It doesn't hurt being QB1, your whole life.
Not at all.
Remember that, kids. If you're going to play a sport and it's football, quarterbacks get all the girls. So any kids out there.
So yeah, my celebrity crush again. I got to go with Sevach. There's two. For the longest time, it was Natalie Portman. Loved her in V for Vendetta, even when she had the bald head. She did this bit on Saturday Night Live where she did a rap and she was like super hardcore. She graduated from Harvard, the complete package. So Natalie Portman was for number one for a really long time. And now I'm losing my second celebrity crush.
I was about to say who dethroned her.
Why can't I think of her name? She's in Avengers.
Are we sure that she has dethroned Natalie Portman?
Yeah,
then?
you don't even know her name.
I'm just blanking on her name.
The girl from the new Avengers, and she had her own movie that they did where she was the
Scarlett
lead.
Johansson?
Yes, Scarlett Johansson.
Okay.
Thank you for saving the day, Sevach. Yes,
Yeah,
Scarlett Johansson was always right there with Natalie Portman, but then to be one of the stars of the greatest movie franchise of all time, it pushed her over the edge. So we're going to close with Scarlett Johansson, even though she won't believe me as I didn't remember her name. I doubt she will be sliding into my DMs, but here we are.
You never know. Hey, if you're listening, either one, Scarlett Johansson or Natalie Portman, get with Brian Byrne on Twitter. Slide in those DMs, please.
It was not Betty White, but Jimmy, who is yours?
But would you mind if Betty White slid into your DMs?
That's what I was just gonna say. If Betty White slides in your DMs, dude, that's a way better story. If you came to me and you're like, hey, Scarlett Jo slid in my DMs, I'd be like, oh damn, like all right, good for you. If you were like Betty White, I'd be like, oh, what?
You're right.
And she's got that old money too, man. Like,
Yes, sir.
Could have bought a dinosaur. So I wish that I would have. I meant to go and like look up a few women because I've had so many changing over the years, and I gotta admit I did it. I got on a little Call of Duty earlier, and I dropped the ball on it because I knew I was gonna fall back on my lifelong crush, and that is Angelina Jolie. When I was a kid, I don't know, I was in, and she did all the weird stuff. She's like kissing her brother and like dating Billy Bob. I don't know. I was a little weirdo creep when I was younger.
That did it for you.
Yeah, she had the vial of blood, of like Billy Bob's blood around his neck, and I was wearing Jinkos and listening to Slipknot. So I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, this is what I'm into. So, and she's beautiful. Yeah, dude. She's beautiful too, but Brad Pitt stole her from me. But Brad Pitt's Brad Pitt, so I can't be mad about that.
That's fair. That's fair.
If I got to lose her to somebody, it ain't bad losing her to a guy like Brad Pitt.
I can understand. I think we can all relate.
Yeah, I almost went weird just to crack a joke and be funny because my brother will tell you I did have a man crush on John Stamos when I was younger. I loved Full House. And I used to go around and like you doing his lines, and I did my hair like him. I went as him for Halloween, so my brother would pick on me saying like he was my man crush and my celebrity crush.
Stamos is going to be the only one that slides into any of our DMs.
I think they call him the Greek Freak, but I could be mistaken. I don't know if that.
He's gonna come find out about you, Jimmy.
Before we lose it here, let's go back to the Flying Hawaiian. Let's reel this back into Tua.
All right, yeah, let's get back. You're right. Let me. I'm supposed to be the host, like keeping us on track and reeling, but I'm derailing us more than anyone else.
I'm sorry. We were just having fun.
Sometimes you're just having fun and you got to go. That's how it makes the best material.
I
just
agree.
Let it go. We're just spitballing here, folks. All right, so yeah, one more thing on Tua, and then we'll move on. Let's get back onto the field. For those of you who stuck it with us throughout that last segment, we appreciate it. Hope you had some laughs. Dan Orlowski isn't the only one. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead here. We're talking about now week one. My apologies. We've had a lot of pundits talking about not if he should play week one, that he will play week one.
He still had Stamos on the mind there with that Freudian slip.
Wait, what did I don't even know what I said.
Let's go back. What did the pundit say?
Oh, man. You guys.
I was trying to hold it together, and then I saw the smile through Brian's mustache, and I couldn't.
I thought you guys were laughing because I'm just struggling in general to get myself back on track. I'm laughing, and my face is red still.
I'm trying to keep it. I was like, I'm going to stay mature. I'm going to be mature. And nope, can't do it.
Wrong show, Sevach. Wrong show.
It's like the herniated disc thing on Sports Center. There's like top 10s of the herniated disc, and they always slip up saying it. Like, you don't ever want to have to mention that medical diagnosis on TV. All right, so you guys quit screwing around, all right? You screw around too much. Tua, week 1. Not will he play. We got a lot of people saying, or not if he should play. A lot of people are saying he will for sure start week 1. Bruce Arians, Colin Cowherd, Joy Taylor broke it on the dad joke for us.
Really?
She was the first, by the way, on Brian Burnsy's dad joke of the day. She was the first one to call it out that Tua will start week 1.
Hell yeah, we're big on the herd. Shout out Colin Cowherd and Joy Taylor as always. So let's look at the odds real quick. Fitzpatrick is minus 550 to start week 1. Tua Tagovailoa plus 370. And if you're really looking to burn some money and you don't want to just Apple Pay me, Josh Rosen is plus 2,500 to start week 1. I wonder if that goes for any team. I wonder how it's worded on FanDuel. Will it start for Miami or will he start?
No, it is
just in general.
No, it's Miami Dolphins starting quarterback week 1.
Okay.
I was gonna, because I could see a $20 on that, and you hope something happens and
Absolutely.
they cut him or something.
Because you never know.
I don't think he's gotten a fair crack at starting anywhere.
Oh,
but
not in the slightest. To be honest with you, I think the pandemic is really what saved him from Miami moving on from him already.
Yeah, I think he should definitely get a fair shake somewhere else. I mean, the dude is a high draft pick and hasn't had a team. But anyways, back on to our guy, the guy that we don't have to worry about Josh Rosen ever again because of this guy, Tua. I don't think he starts week 1. Does anybody? Brian, what are you guys at here?
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like you said, that, some Bruce Arians, Colin Cowherd, Kurt Warner came out today. Joy Taylor, I'll think he's going to start week 1. Vegas doesn't agree. I don't agree. I don't think there's any way in the world. I mean, he has a shortened off season. He didn't get to do the OTAs. We don't know where he is fully with the hip because we can only see him running around in shorts. He hasn't taken a hit yet. The other factor is they brought in Chan Gailey. And I think the main reason so there's a couple big reasons why they brought in Chan Gailey. The first one is he has an easier offense to run, which last week we had Richmond Webb on and he kind of confirmed that. The other big part of it is they want Ryan Fitzpatrick to mentor Tua, and no one knows Chan Gailey's offense like Ryan Fitzpatrick. This will be his 6th season. Chan Gailey's the only coach in the NFL that has constantly believed in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Outside of an injury, I don't see any way that Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't get the first month of the season. After week 4, we'll see if it's Fitz magic or if it's tragic, and we can reassess. But I think Vegas agrees with me. There's no way they're throwing. I mean, he's 22 years old. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to win the Super Bowl this year. This is how you start a franchise, not how you just start a wild card year.
There's a lot of pundits that say stuff, and I either don't like them or I just don't think they're that good or knowledgeable. I trust and genuinely like everyone who has said this, but man, I gotta trust these Vegas odds over anything. I mean, there's a reason there's huge buildings down there always lit up. They know what they're talking about with this stuff, and the odds are just way too far gone. Sevach, what do you think, man?
I'm thinking, we're gotta err common sense, and that would tell me that no, he's not going to start week 1. It wouldn't make any sense. Because just like Brian just said, they brought in Chan Gailey. Nobody knows his offense like Ryan Fitzpatrick knows it. And I mean, Fitz, he's in his 50th year or something like that.
48th.
All that experience. I mean, that's the reason he's there. He's supposed to be mentoring Tua. And again, we don't know exactly what kind of condition Tua's in right now. I mean, he's rehabbing the hip, yes, but he's also kind of rehabbing some other stuff too. He's a little banged up. Nothing else is as serious as the hip, but we don't know exactly where he's at. And without having that, the mini camps and training camp, it just wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's a really good point, man. I didn't even think about that. The game that he injured the hip, he was already a little hobbled, wasn't he? He had a foot or something like that.
Ankle.
Yeah, ankle. Yep. So who
And
knows?
on the hit that broke his hip, he also broke his nose and had nose surgery and hip surgery at the same time.
Yeah. I don't think there's any shot. But I mentioned it on one of our other Fin Addicts podcasts. I think the best teacher is playing time, but with the way this offseason is with COVID and the injury concerns, I don't think it should be week 1. I think it should be sooner than later, especially if Fitz isn't, like you said, Fitz magic. If it's Fitz tragic, I think it definitely should be sooner than later because I think this team is built to win this year. People weren't expecting that 2 years ago, but I think they are easily a wild card team if they get good quarterback play. So if Fitz comes out slow, I think they should be quick to pull them and get Tua in there. But with all the uncertainty and everything, it can't be week 1.
Agreed.
You guys are all. Anybody else got an opinion on anything else? Anything else you want to throw in on Tua before we move on?
That should be what they're taking the odds on is like how long does Fitz stay as Fitz magic before becoming Fitz tragic?
Yeah,
because I loved it. I loved it that last season when he played in Tampa. He opened the season up with those 3 like record-breaking games, and then immediately followed those up with just stinkers.
Yeah, he had like 1,400 yards through like 3 weeks or something crazy like that.
I think he's one of 2 quarterbacks to throw 400 yards 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. I think what the odds should be is what week does Tua come in. I don't think it's going to be week 1, but I would put some money. I like right around week. I would say probably week 8 would be my pick. What do you guys think?
I'm right around there with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say at the very least coming out of that bye because it's late in the year, especially if they're the season's not going well and they're out of the playoffs, or if they're only a game or 2 back and they need a jump start. I think that game against the Jets coming out of the bye, I think I'm probably more on board with than 8. I'm sure you could find a line on them giving like over under on what week, like over under 8.5 weeks, and the over would be like a pretty big favorite, something like that. They gotta have it.
I'll cruise out to Vegas when we're done shooting here. I'll see if I can get some action on that.
Is there gas in the Fin Addicts jet? We can just fire that bad boy up and wheels up. All right, so let's move on here to our secondary. Our secondary that is looking elite on paper right now. Our boy Xavier Howard, he will not be suspended for some legal issues that he is having. Brian, you want to tell us a little bit about what he's got going on here?
Yeah, it was reported the end of last week. The charges were dropped. He had a domestic dispute in the offseason with baby mama, but she didn't press any charges. Charges were dropped. So there wasn't sure though, because he was arrested that night, did spend the night in jail. Would there still be charges? But the NFL came out and said last week there will not be any suspension. And we will start the season with 2 of the best corners in the NFL, and Xavier Howard and Byron Jones.
Yeah.
And it's like we're getting both of them because Xavier played, I believe, 4 games last year. So it's quite an upgrade.
For sure. We don't need to touch much on, allegations and charges and stuff like that. That's not what we're here to talk about. They were dropped, and the dude can play as they should be,
Yep.
So,
and I do want to give props to the NFL for not jumping the gun on that one and slapping him with a suspension, before anything was actually proven.
Yeah. They seem to never handle it right. This seems to be like one time they had. Sometimes they'll jump the gun early. Sometimes they won't do enough when there's video. So, but again, we don't need. That's for another time.
It seems like this offseason, everyone's just getting out of jail for free. Patrick Chung got arrested with cocaine and pled guilty. No suspension. Nothing's ever happened with Robert Kraft and his fun time in Florida. It seems a lot of these cases that went down with the COVID, everything else going on, we've just kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah, it's not illegal. It's not illegal in the U.S., but Earl Thomas was, having some brotherly love situation, and the league had no opinion on that. apparently.
No, not a big one. I guess it didn't. I mean, well, what are they supposed to say about that, anyways?
No, I'm just
You're not. You're
You
not
had
allowed
a
to be
gun
that
pulled
close
to your head.
girl.
You can't play.
Yeah. I think he probably paid his due for getting caught up in that one. So that would be some extreme harsh punishment. I'm sure he's hearing about it for the rest of his life.
Oh, I'm sure. Actually, I touched on it in my podcast too, featuring Drew Welch. You guys might know him from Twitter.
Yo, yeah, you guys dabbled in the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that one actually, and the Robert Kraft situation.
Yeah,
so that was part of the topic tournament. A lot of fun if you guys want to listen to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll get with you after the show, man. Will point me in the right direction, and
Yes,
I'll give it a listen for sure. But speaking of Earl Thomas, we're going to talk about our secondary and where it ranks. NFL.com put out top 5 cornerback duos in the NFL. Earl Thomas and his Ravens are number 1. Again, they went just duos.
Okay.
Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters were number 1. Number 2, returning Defensive Player of the Year, Stephen Gilmore and Jason McCourty. Number 3, our very own Miami Dolphins, the newly acquired Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, got him 3rd. 4th is I almost said San Diego Chargers, going to have to get used to that. The LA Chargers, even though they were LA last year, I still have to get used to it.
I do the same thing. I also do the same with, Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll call them Oakland the whole year. I guarantee it. I've already done it like 10 times in the past month.
I don't think people in LA know that they're the LA Chargers. I think they call them the San Diego Chargers.
The 10 fans who show up probably do. But other than that, it's hard to miss. Casey
They should have
Hayward,
never left San Diego. I'm sorry.
No, they were beloved there, man. Yeah. I think I don't remember. I'd have to look at it. I think it was a city issue and a new stadium issue, and the city not wanting to pay for a stadium. But yeah, they were beloved there. Don't even get me started on these teams moving. My Seattle Supersonics, man, leaving Seattle. Casey Hayward and Chris Harris Jr. come in at number 4 for the Chargers, and number 5 were the Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe Hayden and Steven Nelson. Just to mention, throw it out there, CBS.com did a similar ranking later on in the week. The only differences were in the middle there. They had the Chargers at number 2, Patriots at number 3, and our Miami Dolphins at number 4. But other than that, 1 and 5 were the same. What do you guys think? Is that, I like that we're unbiased here. Miami's at 3. What do you guys think? Are we going to have, when it's all said and done, the number 1 duo, number 1 secondary in the NFL? And what do you guys think of these other ones? Or if it's not Miami, who is top? What do you think, Sevach?
I think by when it's all said and done, we will probably have the best duo in the league. Because, X already proved himself, and we know Byron Jones is an athletic freak. So just to get them on the field together, I can't wait. Quarterbacks have to pick their poison against them. And although it's possible that New England's secondary could, provide some competition there because their duo is hard to beat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially when you got the returning Defensive Player of the Year, and especially it ends up being a cornerback. That's crazy to me that you got to be good as a cornerback to get that award.
Yeah.
I think the duo is definitely right up there, but NFL.com had it in their article, like the Chargers, they had them as the deepest secondary overall. Like our 1-2 punch is great, but some of these secondaries are scary. The Ravens having Earl Thomas back there to help out, clean up what gets by these guys. The Steelers having Minkah Fitzpatrick back there. So, yeah, and then the Chargers, Casey Hayward, Chris Harris Jr., and Desmond King. So, yeah, the duo could be great, but a secondary as a whole, I think I got to see them come together a bit, especially at the safety position. Brian, what do you think, man? You know a lot about this secondary.
Yeah, I think A lot is going to come down to that, $20 million knee of Xavier Howard's. He was made at the time the highest paid cornerback. I think now he's the third highest paid corner. He hasn't been able to stay on the field for 16 games for a season yet. Only played, I believe, four or six last year. So I think if this guy, if he stays on for 16 games, paired with Byron Jones, it's top 2 or 3. I see him being ranked in the mid because of that injury question from Xavier Howard, because we haven't seen them play together. But I mean, it's going to be hard to top this group if they play, and they're going to make everyone around them better. I think like Pittsburgh with Joe, I don't really think Joe Hayden is a top 5 corner anymore. I think Micah Fitzpatrick behind him brought the Steelers to number 5 there. But I think these two guys can make, the rest of our secondary. Eric Rowe came on really good when they moved him to strong safety and had started having him shadow tight ends. Bobby McCain's coming back off injury. I like what I love most about this those corners are just shut down. They don't have to follow anybody wherever they line up. It doesn't matter who gets number 1. But what I like about this secondary is, like, if you remember the last time the Patriots won the Super Bowl, they would come out and put down like 2 linemen or 3 linemen, and then everybody else would just jumble together, and nobody would know where anyone was going. And this secondary can do that. Bobby McCain has played free safety and nickel corner. Eric Rowe has played outside corner, nickel corner, strong safety. Jones and Howard can go anywhere. I love one of my favorite, undrafted free agent from last year, Nick Needham, just came out of no. I mean, he looked so bad in the preseason and then came on at the end of the year and was just a beast. I can't wait to see what he does in year 2. I won't try his last name, but Noah is a freak athlete. Both parents Olympic gold medalists. I can't wait to see what this kid can do. The safety from Texas, I think it's going to come together, and I think it will be helped out too. I remember the Cowboys game last year, and everybody was clowning him because, the Dallas Cowboys receiver got a bunch of catches on him. He was in coverage for 15 seconds. There was no pass rush.
Yeah.
So we added a lot on the D-line, which is the greatest friend of the corners. So I could see this secondary easily being one at the end of the year, but it's definitely all coming down to Howard's knees. If he can stay on the field and earn that contract. I'm really scared if he can't, because I don't know if he'll be here next year, but I'm very optimistic about this secondary.
I actually listened to I tried to learn Noah's name for this podcast, and then I totally just spaced on it. It's like Ijabanaje or something like that. I learned it just for this. I YouTubed videos of it being pronounced, and I totally spaced on it. But you bring up a good point, man. I mean, the other parts outside of this duo and Needham just have a lot to show before we're like, oh, hey, this is the best secondary in the NFL. Because just to throw a couple numbers out at you, and not that passer rating's the be-all, the end-all, the Patriots had 3 DBs in the top 10 of passer rating allowed. Stephen Gilmore being the returning defensive player of the year, and McCourty, everyone knows. But a name I wasn't super familiar with was J.C. Jackson, who actually was tops on the team when it came to passer rating and giving it up at 37. Wow. He was best in the league, not the team. My apologies. And then that Chargers secondary is super deep back there with Derwin James and those 2 corners. So, again, and we already talked about the Ravens and Earl Thomas being back there. So
we have a serious wild card, though. Week 1, we get Jared Stidham.
For sure.
We get him again later on in the year. We can come out of week 1 with 4 or 5 interceptions. I can't imagine making your first NFL start looking at Xavier Howard and Byron Jones on the end, and without a true number 1 wide receiver. So we get off to a quick start there.
The vibe it's given me, because it was my prime coming of age Miami Dolphin fan, is Sam Madison and Pat Surtain. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting. I loved watching those guys, man. Sevach, you got anything?
And they're young too. We could have them for that same amount of time that we had Pat and Sam. It'd be amazing.
For sure. But like you mentioned, Howard's knee is going to be important, especially for longevity and, how long. Because, man, a couple more issues. Yes or no, they could cut bait and run on him, right? Nothing stopping them from doing that. Sevach, you got anything here on these secondaries to throw at us? Anything left?
Well, just that I think more than anything, Miami's secondary has a lot of potential. There's a lot of young guys there with room to grow. So far, what we've seen early on looks pretty positive. So even if Howard doesn't end up being a part of Miami's future plans, I still think we'll be okay. Still think we will field one of the better secondaries in the league.
Absolutely. Yeah, agreed. Brian mentioned it. They went out there and tried to address the pass rush, heavy, and that's the best friend of these DBs. So if we up this pressure on the quarterback, it's only going to help these young guys back there and these, all pros back there. So
I have one question for you guys. Do you think that Miami has finally fixed the linebacker problem?
I'll let Brian take that one.
I love this question because I actually posed it to Travis Wingfield when he was looking for questions for his podcast. Our linebacking core is just weird. We have 11 guys that you couldn't cut, right? It's 11 deep. A lot of them play edge. A lot of them play linebacker. They're all over the place. I really think McMillan being the 2-down run stuffing linebacker is the only really guy that's like set in stone. That's what he plays. I'm excited about this group. Van Ginkel came on at the end of last year when he came off his injury. There's definitely some reasons to be excited. I don't know if Weaver's going to be end or an outside linebacker. I'm excited about him. Vince Beagle. Everyone thought we got hosed when we traded for him for Kiko Alonso. He outperformed Kiko by like 3 times. He was a beast. So, I'm excited about the linebacker core. I wouldn't hate next year, like going after that one. I mean, and I forgot to mention we added Kyle Van Noy, who is just tough as nails. He's not going to lead the league in sacks or anything like that, but he's all over the place. I would like to see, though, like next year, bring in that one guy, that obviously you're not getting Ray Lewis, but just that one beast that can go sideline. Who's the guy that Baltimore got? Patrick Queen. Somebody along those lines. It just is a game changer. I think we have a lot of good elements on it. So I'm excited about the linebacker core. There's a lot of questions. I can't wait to see these guys get in camp and see where they line up and see how they're being used. But I honestly think we're going to look a lot like that Patriots defense where Wilkins and Godchow and Raekwon Davis are going to be down, and everyone else is just going to be standing around, and quarterbacks are going to be like, well, Sam Darnold will be like, I'm seeing ghosts. I don't know what to do. No one knows where they're going to go. I think it's going to be fun to see what he does with his talent on defense because he finally has talent on defense. What are your thoughts on the linebacker?
So for our Sure Thing fans out there real quick, Patrick Queen is my bet for defensive rookie of the year, just to throw that out there. I love that kid, man. I was all about him.
I put $10 down on it yesterday, actually, from my good friend Jason.
Yeah, no, I know because I gave you the tip. I know, bro. Don't be throwing my plays out there like you came up with that play. No, I'm just kidding. That kid's obvious to love in a great situation with some great defensive coaches. So that's an obvious one for sure. I'd have to look into it some more to give you a real in-depth, more so high-level answer. I really loved bringing in Van Noy and Raekwon McMillan. I loved when they drafted him, and I would just love for him to be great. Initially, it was because I'm a Wu-Tang fan, and I saw the name, and I'm like, oh, I love this guy. Yeah, man.
Now we got 2 Raekwons.
Yeah, so I was just overjoyed. But no, I gotta agree with Brian, and I know this sounds silly because they don't grow on trees, but man, that Zach Thomas, Ray Lewis, Brian Urlacher type, where they do everything. Like we got some good pass rushing linebackers and we got some good cover linebackers. But, man, it would be nice to have that beast that stuffs the run, rushes the passer, covers a tight end, slot receiver. But, again, those guys aren't, a dime a dozen. So I think it's the weakest part of the defense, and not saying that it's a weak unit, but I think the line's going to be good, and I think the secondary is going to be great, and I think where the most work is needed is at linebacker. You got a take on it? You asked it, so I'm hoping you got something for it, or no? You how do you feel about the squad?
No, I feel I guess I don't want to say overly optimistic, but I do feel optimistic about the prospects. I think the group as a whole is light years better than it's been in the last few years. So I'm really more than anything just excited to see them play.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jimmy.
No. It's something quick. If I just quit yammering and get it in quick, we got to take into account Flores and the defensive coaching and the scheme, and that what we've talked about, kind of that mentality that they're bringing. We could have some guys that we're like, oh, we don't know about him, that could take it to the next level with this coaching staff and with this kind of hard work, blue collar, lunch pail guy, atmosphere that they're bringing. I hate all those terms, but that's what they're bringing here. Work hard, play hard, leave it on the field. So I'm sorry, Brian, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I just think a lot's going to come down to Jerome Baker. I dove into some stuff on Jerome Baker from last year. He's kind of an anomaly. 100 tackles, four forced fumbles, 2 recovered fumbles. I think a sack and a half, and a couple interceptions, or 1 interception. But the really weird thing, when you have 100 tackles, he only had 3.5 tackles for loss. So that needs to change. We need to see Jerome Baker has that speed to go from side to side. I think the instincts need to get a little bit better. Maybe it was because, in his defense, there was nothing in front of him. Right? The edges were just awful. We brought Taco Charlton in week 4, and he led the team in sacks. He didn't even play our last 3 games. So, he didn't have a lot of help around him. But Jerome Baker, you had your sophomore year. It's now you're a vet now. It's time to step up. You do those 100 tackles again, but let's get like 15 to 20 tackles for loss, add some sacks. He can be that guy. So it's kind of like that $1 million question. Can he if Jerome Baker takes that next step, this linebacker core will also take that next step, but a lot's going to come down to him.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Thanks for the input there. All right, boys. Hey, we're going to be closing it up here soon, but we want to get Sevach's take on the season real quick. You've heard ours already. Sevach, what are we looking at here, man? Playoffs, no playoffs, 10 wins, 2 wins? What are we doing?
I'm calling it like I said earlier. I'm saying we're around 8-8.
Yeah.
8-8 seems like a very fair and reasonable place for us to land, especially given all the uncertainty surrounding the season. You couple that with the additions that we made this offseason, it seems that's the logical place for us to land.
Hey, and with that extra wild card added, 8-8 on a regular year before this could be a playoff spot. Definitely could be a playoff spot this year. So I'd be I know Brian would be really disappointed with 8-8 where he's shooting at. That'll win you that over 7.5 though. So there ain't nothing wrong with that. But I'd be happy with 8-8. I think that might even be the floor, man. 7-8 wins and up, So I think this team, I think they're ahead of schedule.
That's where I'm at too. I believe, if I take the complete fan out of it, I would probably bet on 8-8. I don't see him going below 8. That's why I'm placing a bet on over 7.5. But I could see things go really right for this team. It's a 10-11 win team. Yeah. Things don't go well. People don't progress like we hope. Xavier Howard gets injured. We're right around that 7-8 wins. But it's going to be fun. A lot different than last year. There's a lot of hope this year. Sevach, thank you so much for joining us. If you do not follow Sevach on Twitter, do it immediately. He's a great follow. What is your Twitter handle again, Sevach?
@SeriouslySevach. Sevach. I had to think about that for a second.
And check out he does great 2-minute videos, longer videos. His podcast is amazing. One of my favorite. I told him like a week ago. I'm like, dude, I have to do something with you. So I'm always entertained whenever he brings something to Miami Dolphins Twitter. So it was a pleasure to have him on. If he joins the Fin Addicts Network Fantasy Football League, we'll continue to be friends.
No pressure.
I look forward to doing more with you, but thanks again for coming on, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate you
coming,
having me.
man. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we can get you on again, during the season, check in, see where everybody's at. No disrespect to anybody else we've had on. This was the most fun that I've had for sure, man.
Oh, you guys gassed me up. I can't even.
Man, I like your sense of humor, bro. It goes with me. It clicks with me.
Yeah.
All right, again, before we get out of here, please, if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, Fin Addicts Network. Follow us on Twitter, Fin_Addicts. And please, please, please check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Anchor. I don't know. I'll tape it on a cassette and mail it to you. Just listen, people. All right. So for Brian Byrne, our boy Sevach, my new buddy, gonna follow him myself as soon as we get off of here. I am Jimmy Kearns. We are the Fin Addicts. Thank you for joining us.
Fins up, everyone. Have a good night.
Up.
Fins up.